Hello and welcome. Today is a very special episode because if you were listening to this on Slash Dupe, this is a pilot for a new show by CuzBros Podcast, a sister and spiritual successor to Slash Dupe, all about the medium that owes a lot to films, and that is video games. If you're listening to this on WhiteBox's Spotify or Apple or even via YouTube, then you're in for a pre-alpha look at WhiteBox, the podcast, a curio, a teaser trailer, a cinematics-only, no gameplay glimpse. And just like the video games we will be pitching and discussing today, will likely come out completely different to middling critical success. If you're coming from the WhiteBox side and not the Slash Dupe side, you may be wondering why the Slash Dupe crowd are gasping and retching into a bag. And that is because this is a video game special. We are also employing the use of video for the first time in Slash Dupe. Don't worry, do not be alarmed. This is a temporary measure for Slash Dupe in order to make it extra special for you, whereas WhiteBox will in fact be a video podcast as well. So what is different about WhiteBox? How is WhiteBox different to Slash Dupe, the movie pitching podcast with a twist? Well, the WhiteBox in the world of games development allows a developer to get an idea of their level design with a 3D perspective, including environment, scale, and geometry. It can be the framework for testing pure gameplay or to prototype any features prior to the application of any textures or assets, hence the name for this podcast. That was thanks to someone on Reddit. I found that. The format is a little different to Slash Dupe. WhiteBox is a little faster. It's a little bit more collaborative. There is a different kind of pressure in the video games world, and we're hoping to emulate that. I will be announcing the different stages as we go, so prepare yourself and be on your toes. And I'm talking to you. Bradley Kershaw and Ryan Scott I have with me, both huge fans, not just of playing games across almost all genres, but I think it's safe to say fans of the industry at large, creators large and small. How are you guys doing?
Yeah, doing good.
I'm excited too. This has been another one of those ones for us that's a long time in the making in terms of the way that we plan Slash Dupe. We also sort of plan WhiteBox. So I'm excited to get our pilot of this off the ground and get it going, and we'll see how the format works.
And I'm just an avid consumer. We were only talking 10 minutes ago about SnowRunner, so yeah, just get me in there.
I brought up my theory that I'm hoping to do a video on at some point about how SnowRunner is a Soulsborne game. I think it followed. We were just talking about how it follows the same sort of patterns.
Try again.
Try again. Unlock your shortcuts. Find also the aspect of finding answers in the community as well. That's quite a big Soulsborne thing, and you don't know a thing about SnowRunner until you've gone on the forums and people have ranked the trucks and talked about
and fallen off a cliff
and fallen off a cliff. And it's like, yeah, I'm a big fan of SnowRunner, but unfortunately,
yet to play a SnowRunner game or a Soulsborne game, and by the sounds of it, get that in the bin. It's not good on any of my consoles. Although it's lovely though. But on the flip side, like I love a roguelike, and I know Sean doesn't like those.
No,
and I like
Bradley's
both.
A little bit different to them.
Brad, you like basically everything, and I sort of like I know I love what I love and I hate what I hate, and that's what's so interesting. We all have such different tastes. I didn't prep you guys for this, but I'm thinking is what will happen is Ryan will. We're still working on it because we love Slash Dupe. We want to have WhiteBox running at the same time. I know that Ryan will take more of a hosting sort of primary role in WhiteBox.
What?
But what I'm hoping on doing, it is right. The pressure. What I'm hoping to do is start it by everybody, and because it's okay for the regulars because you're going to have so many of them, is giving people at home, as you introduce yourself or as you say hello, your favorite game. Maybe let's go with I know it's tough. So if you can think of one on the fly, go for that. If you can't, maybe just the game that you're loving right now, that's like consuming you right now, and why.
Oh, I think for the past 5 years, games that I've played, I can say for sure that The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, including DLCs, is just so up high.
I feel like we're going to get that quite a lot as we begin to get guests. I think we'll keep a tally of those. I'll tell you what, I'm going to throw this one back. I owe my entire video gaming love and career after one game, and that is Battlezone, a wireframe tank game that we used to play on the Olivetti, that we used to sit on our dad's lap and play it, and he would probably move the mouse and we just smash keys. But that was the original game, first ever game I played, and that was the one that got me into it. So that's going to be one it'll always appear in a list somewhere, but it'll always be the first one I've ever played.
Yeah, good choices, both of you. And also, it's good to keep a tally. I think you're right. We're going to get a lot of Ocarina of Times, I reckon. That's just a mainstay, isn't it? It's a staple. But in terms of Witcher as well, you're right to include the DLCs, because when I played Blood and Wine, I don't want to give anything away, because it's one of those things where the experience of playing the whole game and then playing Blood and Wine afterwards.
It's just such a journey.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? And Blood and Wine is like very specifically designed to be a developer and a game player send off, isn't it? So like at the end of Blood and Wine, they said goodbye, basically.
It was a whole DLC dedicated to an end of a journey.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it?
It was done properly.
It really was, and I'm not ashamed to say I genuinely wept at the end. Like I was so moved by it. Good choices. I don't know.
Let us try and not make the mistakes of CD Projekt Red with their most recent foray into the cyberpunk genre.
Yeah.
Oh, I think we will emulate that. That's what we're doing in WhiteBox. We're going to be crunching. We're going to be, putting in more ideas than are necessary. And I think I am going to go for a different game that influenced me as I go. And one of the first games I played that made an impact on me was, and it's not the earliest, but it's just one of them, and it was Resident Evil 2. And we had au pairs, didn't we, Rye, when we were growing up, because our dad worked a night shift, so we'd have someone in the house. You could at the time you could understand very little. You could share very little of the language, but I would hear the sounds of sort of shooting zombies, moaning zombies and shooting zombies, and I'd come downstairs after I was supposed to be in bed and just sit there and watch. I was so enthralled by the experience. It was so frightening. What happened is when the au pair moved on, he left. It was on the PC. He left Resident Evil 2 on the PC, and then that was my turn. He was gone, and it was my turn to start playing. And I was, I was sort of. I remember being really spooked, and
classic choice.
Yeah, and a really, at the time, a really genuinely great survival horror. And I don't know. I think you're the only one, Brad, at the time of recording this, has played Resident Evil 8. Is that right? Resident Evil Village.
Yeah, I think Johnny's started it, but he's barely any of the way through it. But yeah, I played through it a lot because it's designed to be replayed in unlocking infinite ammo mercenaries mode. It's designed to be played many, many times. I just played it many, many, many times.
Is it is it a likely platinum or a 100% gamer score?
I just got one achievement left to do, which is to go back and do the mercenary mode stuff, because that's going to be a bit of a slog.
Always always the slog.
So that's going to be the challenge. The rest of them were not particularly hard to get. Collectibles, unlocking all the guns, that sort of thing. Yeah, I'd be remiss if I didn't just briefly mention Mass Effect 3 of the Legendary Edition, which is what I'm just partway through. I'm sure we'll go into more detail about it another time, but that's the one that I'm going to platinum all three of those. I'm going to knock out the end of the whole thing, the whole Legendary Edition set of trophies. It's got to be done in honor of Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3 when I played it when I was younger. Right, so Slash Dupe regulars, they will know that Dan is not here. He's not present. Rest assured, he'll be back in the next episode of Slash Dupe. As a Slash Dupe listener, you can find WhiteBox at WhiteBox Pod, and WhiteBox listeners can try out Slash Dupe at the hashtag Slash Dupe. So that's just a little bit of housekeeping out of the way. Now, in for the meat of this. We are in a meeting. We have 30 minutes to come up with the next big game. I don't know who our masters are. I don't know if we're independent studio. I just don't know. I'll be double fine if we've just been bought out. I just don't know where we're at. Let's hope the next project isn't like whenever Rare was bought out
oh man, and then whatever they came up with after the Microsoft.
Let's not forget we're getting a new Perfect Dark soon, so
Oof.
it all comes back around.
Really? I didn't realize we were.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed. So yeah, normally at the start, and when you listen to the next episodes of WhiteBox, you in the pre-alpha stage, which is where we're at right now, the title is selected at random. However, for this one, and this one alone, I have selected the title. We would normally let Destiny pull the video game title out for us.
That's not Destiny the game.
That's not a comment on Destiny the game. It's Destiny in general. The concept, because this is a specific crossover episode, I've selected the title Vertical Slice. So that is the title we're pitching today. Slash Dupe listeners will know, okay, that's the title I have to go on. Everybody has to pitch on this. And it's an industry term for WhiteBox listeners. It's an video game industry term, and generally, just very quickly, it is an example of, let's say, like a playable level. So it's a microcosm. It's one part of a game that has all of your major elements in it, and you can use it to sort of show to publishers or show as an example to financiers. So, Vertical Slice. What would you want to see? What would you not want to see? Go on, Rye. Take us away. You seem to have something.
Vertical Slice is a cake making game, right? But you're working at a cafe on a backlot of like a Hollywood, like a film set, and all of the cakes that come in are like really wanky, like, oh, I need it to be like gluten and soy free and like all this sort of stuff.
Oh, because you have all of that stuff from LA bleeding in.
Yeah.
You have all the actors with their specific diets. And...
Yeah. So it's like, because there's loads of like cake baking simulators and things like that. This is at least my.
So you're thinking mobile game for that then? Is that your sort of?
No, I'm thinking like a nice like high gloss like PC sort of
like a proper like simulator sort of experience.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you're
all the ingredients in a bowl sort of thing.
And then you'll get, and your challenge is like you'll be baking a cake, and then someone will come in and they'll be like, right, there's an express order need for the filming of we need a special wedding cake for Titanic 4. This time it's unsinkable or whatever that would be. And then like, so you have to then juggle, okay, well, I've only got one oven for the time being. So I've got to make sure that like at the end of my day, when I do my upgrades to my kitchen, I'll be able to get a second oven.
It's a little bit like Overcooked. It's a little bit like Cooking Mama. It's like a sort of fusion of the two. Are you going to have
it's more like a proper like a sim game where you have like a really like high gloss first person, like hovering body, no feet or knees when you look down, none of that. You just like hovering body, pick up a cake.
Bowl in front of you.
Okay, so it's supposed to sort of almost be photorealistic. It's supposed to really sort of, it's like Microsoft Flight Sim. You're properly giving people a cake baking simulator.
But you've got to then have like really silly cake decorations, right? Just like
the demands are going to be completely like with the Titanic one. You're going to have to do the chimneys, right, or something.
I must have a diffused grenade in my cake.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but then how would you source the ingredients in the game? Is that where's the element of sourcing these ingredients?
So I think at the end of the day, at the end of each of the days, like you're on a baking clock, right? And you'll have like week-long objectives or whatever, but then at the end of each day, you get a portion of the whatever. Like if you're doing the cake for Titanic 4, you'll get a portion of the I cannot think of the catering budget, right? For example, or something like that. So you will then have to use that money to improve so you start with one oven, and then you can get 2 ovens, then you buy all different molds and things like that at like the end of each day. So you want to and I think that keeps people coming back for more each time because you're trying to upgrade your kitchen. At least this is my take on Vertical Slice. I don't know if anyone else has anything else.
I mean, are we going to go for motion controls? I don't know. Go on, Brad. Sorry.
Well, yeah, I was thinking that could be a VR experience. You could easily pull that into.
So you've got the Valve Index, haven't you, Brad?
Yes.
So what can we see? How could you bring that in?
Quite easily. I mean, it would obviously VR development. No idea how good or bad or how difficult that is as a concept, but you can easily marry kitchen to VR.
Yeah.
picking up utensils, mixing dough, easy. It's all easy stuff that you could do in VR. I mean, it's one of those things where it could be like a perfect co-op VR game where you're like throwing flour at the other person and stuff. I don't know.
I think that's a good idea. And I think you need I like the sort of structure you get in real life and then gamifying it. So like there is a chef and a sous chef, and like you have that hierarchy and you have to sort of pick a little bit like I haven't played it, but the Star Trek Enterprise deck.
I've seen it. I've not played that myself either.
So that sort of thing where you have specific roles. And then also I'm reminded of Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes, which is like another sort of role-based game. So like you sort of
did VR as well.
There is a VR version of that.
So I can see that being like a really good co-op. There's one other thing I love about the idea, and that's I'm going to throw in a bit of a Papers, Please vibe. So I sort of like the idea that at the end of the day, you have to just face your Well, I don't know.
The kitchens in Aristosa.
Maybe you, God, that'd be awful. Maybe you are also a budding actor, because there's always a reason why you're doing it. Like, there's just something about like, I would have to say you've got to put like something in there that gets it the attention
with each cake that goes to the producers, you put a script in it or something like that.
Something like that.
I think that's
trying to slide in your
too much. So each day, you don't have to. That's the beauty of it, right? So you don't have to, but all you'll be doing is making cakes. That's the game. That's fine. But if you find a way to get the attention of the actors that come in to get their requirements, or the other people on set there's like that whole, maybe it's DLC, right? Or maybe it's the sequel, but there's a whole load of stuff to explore about being on a lot as well. So maybe you can try and
I don't know. So I imagine
like key poisonings of actors, and the role is now free.
That's awesome. That's like, so I never played like Doki Literature Club and stuff, but like you got to put in these, or like Pony Island, is it? You've got to put to get the attention of people. I think
that would be the other way around. I think it would be that if you mess up the cake for the delivery date, or you don't do the ingredients correctly or whatever, then it poisons someone. So maybe not like, and then that has a knock-on effect to your cake career.
You don't get recommended.
Yeah. You won't.
All right, so it will be like a Burial at Sea, BioShock style big piece of DLC, or it'll be one of those things that's like $24.99 and it's not quite a sequel and it's not quite a full game, and that's the one where you're trying to make the cakes and make it in Hollywood at the same time. So I can acquiesce to that. I can go for let's just make it the cake one, but then we bring out this big like sort of DLC that comes in. That's, do you know what I mean? Like those sort of, it's like $24.99 and it's like,
you can also have like maybe a spy DLC where you're a secret cake maker for spies and they need
that'll be good.
They need their poison cakes.
It's a film noir set during like a sort of Cold War. The film that's being made on set is like a film noir spy sort of Cold War type thing. So
you have to make a black and white cake.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, that photographs well in black and white film, right? So that's the DLC bit. So then you sort of like, there's your spy stuff, there's your war stuff, there's your sort of
that's a money generator. That is cosmetics for cakes.
That's it. Yeah. So the multiplayer is a huge component now, isn't it?
Rom-coms.
What happens if you get taken like on shooting and you have to go to like Turkey and like you have to do everything with like pastry now? Like that's another DLC, isn't it?
You have to make a like a lamb kofta cake.
Yeah. So they're shooting the next sort of big space opera Star Wars type thing in like Tunisia or somewhere like that, right? So you're off in the desert somewhere. So now like your water reserves are very specific as well. Oh, that's quite good. Okay, so before we go into Vertical Slice, the cake making game, I think it's fair just to sort of say, did Vertical Slice, the title, spur off anything else in anyone else's mind? I could only think of...
do you know, I immediately went to something also food-based.
Did you?
Mm-hmm.
I did. It was a pizza delivery service a la Crazy Taxi.
Oh, that's good because we need another Crazy Taxi. We need like an update, and you're on like a moped or something, right?
No. I think one better. If it's called Vertical Slice, Jetpack.
Oh no!
Like they live in like a stack that you have to fly up to.
Oh man, that's cool. Great. So it's like stacks, like sort of proper. So you're mixing cyberpunk, the genre, and you're mixing sort of Crazy Taxi.
So you've got like a super tower, whatever they're called in the game.
Yeah,
I can't call them.
Like a Mega City 1 from Judge Dredd or something.
Yeah, exactly. And then maybe each pizza delivery is like a puzzle when you get to the floor. You have to work out how to deliver the pizza. Because I don't know, there's been a gang shootout in the area and everybody's on lockdown. So you don't know how to...
That's great. It's sort of Judge Dredd meets Crazy Taxi. I love it. So yeah, all I could think of was a kind of super hot style sort of game. I was thinking more bladed. But no, I'm willing to sort of... So what will happen is we're moving into alpha stage, right? So at the alpha stage, the studio have told us, you guys are doing well, but this is the genre now, right? Thanks for banding about the ideas for Vertical Slice, but this is the genre. So what's the word from the studio, Ryan? What are we,
the genre,
or the publishers?
They've just come back.
It's pulled from the hat. It's being pulled randomly from the hat.
Just
this will decide which idea we go in.
They've told me that Vertical Slice actually works very well. Has to be a combat flight simulator game.
Okay, so what we've done is
we moved this pizza delivery service to the skies.
Specifically, it's combat flight simulator.
All right,
it can't just be a flight simulator.
Okay, that's fine because the pizza is like a symbol now of something greater in this post-apocalyptic world.
There's like
we keep Ryan's idea with the jetpacks and we turn it into you're a squid now sort of Splatoon pizza fight.
So now it's aerial combat featuring pizzas
and like you've got dough cannons, you've got tomato sauce cannons.
Oh, I like that. Part of me doesn't want to lose.
And you've got to make the pizza, and the person that makes the most percentage of the pizza wins.
But then you could have different zones that are like, because you can't have too much pepperoni on one.
In the sky, you're right.
Yeah. Well, you can't have too much pepperoni on one slice, right? For example. So you have to, in the zones where you're fighting.
That's lying. You can never have enough pepperoni on a slice.
That's so true.
You could, because I know we're mixing genres here, but like if it's a combat sim, flight combat sim.
All right. So yeah, the studio have said it has to be a combat flight sim.
Oh god.
Okay.
Go
on. Well, the thing is, like VTOL is vertical takeoff and landing, isn't it? That's what it stands for.
Yeah.
So
it's like a Harrier jet.
Exactly. So there is a lot. We've got vertical in there as well. Oh no, I've got it. Sean, your idea that you originally pitched in some kind of like super hot style thingy, right? Imagine like a Zone of the Enders Gundam style game, sword combat. I know, I can't remember what Chivalry had, as of this recording, Chivalry had a free beta weekend. Two of my housemates downloaded it and played it, and they really loved it. First person, multi-massive medieval combat. So that, but like Gundam style flying in the air, but it's swords or like thingies, and that's Vertical Slice.
I haven't played a Gundam game since like PlayStation 1. That'd be sick.
And
and a Zone of the Enders needs to come back around, doesn't it?
Exactly.
We need a Zone of the Enders 3 by
that's your bought-in DLC already, isn't it? You get Zone of the Enders DLC, you get Jehuti and Anubis and stuff like that for.
And I'm sure
DLC.
we'll get a Mobile Suit Gundam partnership.
Exactly.
yeah. All right. No, I like a little bit of everything, so I'm going to maybe. How about this? We're in some sort of cyberpunk Mega City 1 type vertical structure type thing. You are a delivery service and you're brokering peace. Like your deliveries, somehow, we'll have to figure this out.
But that's not flight combat, though.
But wait. Everybody needs pizza. I'm just talking about the story here. Let the studio deal with the... We'll put the combat in later. It's fine. But like, you've got to come at it from the perspective of like...
You can tell this is the pilot because Sean is like, I I don't want to. I don't want to get rid of the mega city.
Genres
man, the pilots,
restrictive.
Sean,
No.
No. I'm saying we
studio
can
payout
have
that
our.
you
We can, I know we can have our cake and eat it, or
I
our
knew it
pizza
was
and eat
coming.
it.
Let me-
Right?
It's
It's
coming.
true
Let
though,
me-
Brad. It's true. So that you are in an exosuit that has an onboard AI and everything, but it's not sort of huge like a massive robot,
It's
because
like an
those are
Iron
quite.
Man.
Yeah, like an Iron
Pixar
Man
suit.
type, sort of maybe slightly bigger, but like a sort of like I'm thinking like Dark Void should have really. They could have done something amazing with Dark Void.
Let me read
So
you the
aerial combat in order to own the zones of delivery. So maybe it's not pizza, maybe it's everything. So like Amazon has gone from drone to jetpack and
So
and
a
sort of
Death Stranding type game.
Let me read
yes,
you what the
Death
let me read you
Stranding
what
combat
the-
in the sky, right? To own the different parts of this mega city.
Let me
That's a
read
little
you
bit
what
of everything, man.
What the genre definer for combat flight simulation
Go on.
game is. Used to simulate military aircraft and their operation. This is distinct from a dedicated flight simulator used for professional pilot and military training, which consists of realistic physical recreations of actual cockpits with then full motion videos.
Yeah,
Great.
So like Star Wars Battlefront 2 Space Combat is considered
Yeah.
combat sim.
Yeah, I'd say, although
Yeah,
they had
I would
Squadrons
say
recently,
so.
didn't
Yeah,
they?
exactly. Which is
Well,
coming
yeah, they
out on
split out. You're
PS
right. Yeah. I
Plus.
can't remember what that game's called.
Is it just called Squadrons?
It's
is
just
it?
called Squadrons.
So
yeah.
like a sort of rogue squadron sort of spiritual successor. Yeah, so think about like the corporations, which is where we're heading. Let's not get too dark about it in real life, but the corporations will start running things. They'll start to vie for control of consumerism. So each one will start to build their own PMCs and their own army.
The
You're
merc
part
armies,
of like
yeah.
so you're part of like the Amazon Prime.
Arasaka, getting into that cyberpunk.
Yeah,
again.
exactly. Yeah. So it's definitely more of like a sort of Neil Blomkamp sort of Judge Dredd sort of future. But like this, you have different zones, so it can be like a sort of MMO type game. You have different zones. You can have, and then all of the sort of aerial combat is the key. So we're taking Anthem. We're going forget about that. You thought that was going to be good, and it wasn't. Let's give you exactly what you wanted out of Anthem. Let's give you
like Anthem in the Skies would be a
right
sim, right? Yeah.
I think we can get there, and you're sort of delivering everything. You're delivering absolutely everything that So like you said, Death Stranding.
So this is like a PvP.
So where's the slice come into it?
The city, the way it's built.
Well, no, I think. Well, we could have that, but I think Ryan's original idea of having swords instead of guns. It's still a combat sim. You just swords instead of guns.
Yeah, and a little bit like in Zone of the Enders, how the gun was very weak. It was almost like a sort of
it's not
catch-all.
enough.
Yeah, so really you need to get in there with the sword. So yeah, we still have the sword aspect. In fact, it's very sort of robot suit with a sword.
Yeah.
Very sort of very Ghost of Tsushima. Very sort of the samurai aspect.
How to build in your delivery mechanic. Battlefield 2142.
I love that game.
Yeah, and you have the two motherships essentially that they had to defend. Well, this time they're delivery ships, and they've got a package that you have to defend.
Yeah, I like that.
And there's like multiple layers of enforcement and defenses that you have to get through to get to the package.
Yeah, and it's a little bit persistent, like something like The Division, where you can actually run into other players and you can play solo bits and pieces as well. I sort of love the idea of you being able to, I just want to jump in and deliver some packages without the PvP aspect. But if you go rise to a certain level, so how about like all the sort of, I don't know, the sort of the heights or anything, but like normal building level, like 2-3 story buildings, there's no PvP. It's sort of some story-based missions and stuff. And when you rise above a certain height level, you enter, so that there are always people fighting and combat above you. So like every time you rise to the certain skyscraper limit, you enter the airspace of PvP, and then it's fair game. So some packages can only be delivered.
I think you are full on cyberpunking this, Sean. You have like feature orgying yourself.
I guess it's more like
I think we can't go too complex with it. I think this needs to be
Scope
like
creep.
Yeah, massive scope creep.
Well, we're not there yet. We're still at the point where we haven't even got.
Yeah, we haven't decided the scope yet. It's not creeping in if we're.
Yeah, exactly. But we will have to in a few minutes. We will.
So this is a Gundam suit sword based aerial combat delivery.
Yeah.
Cyber MMO. I
Yeah.
can keep listing genres.
Sort of. It feels like the closest analogy is the old Star Wars Battlefront 2, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a good analogy.
Where it had a whole full-on war going on with space battles and ground battles.
Yeah,
that everybody was involved in.
And I'm not saying like you bring in too many things. We're not going vehicle combat and stuff. We're keeping it fairly simple. Like down here's your Division 2 sort of like storyline sort of stuff, and then but literally the way you move into it, instead of going into the dark zones,
I see this
you
more
move
like a Warhawk that has zero storyline, or that is storyline that's just written in lore.
Oh, I love that.
Into the multiplayer gameplay mechanics.
Yeah, so it's not actually. I mean, like Overwatch is another example of that, right? Where there's a lot of heavy lore behind it, but that's all come out through reading, through listening, through books,
the map,
through DLC
designs.
Yes, exactly.
Well, we will, I suppose, and both are fine. I think it's one of these things where let's see what the budget's like. Then we might have to cut out that bit, the bottom. Let's not promise that when we're talking. Let's not promise the storyline. Great single player content type stuff.
I think
in case E3 in case
after a set to stop you just from hanging out at the bottom, like the map bottoms out because the gravity's so strong on this. You reach an event horizon if you get too low.
We need to see if we're going to go with it. We need to change that because I'm not having that Spider-Man. Remember the Spider-Man games? I'm not having it where you just go into the fog and then that's it. You die. Those old PS1 Spider-Man games.
Well,
right. So
you could have. Then we're fighting over a black hole.
Oh no, but that is cool though. That would be the DLC map, right? That'd be the first DLC map we release. Black hole. And it will be like one where everything's being sucked in and you have a limited amount of time. Right, look, I want to talk about this more, but we're moving into the beta stage, or the beta stage. And it's the point where the studio have just told me that it's something current is they need to fit this game in with something that's going on at the moment. So where are we at, Ryan? What's the studio been saying about? Trend analysis is coming, exactly. What buzzword are they giving us?
They've looked at everything, and the studio need this game to be more visceral.
Okay, listen, I think we've got.
So it's got to be hyper realistic graphics then, if it's visceral, like Anthem style sort of mechs.
Yeah, okay, we're going like Tony Stark style stuff. Like real textures. And are we gonna have do we want to have blood and stuff like that? Is that what they mean by visceral? Is it going to be like
no, visceral is another word for immersive. I've always thought it's like something that makes you feel like you're there.
Well,
sort of feeling
the tangibility of it. Okay.
According to the dictionary, it's relating to viscera, like blood and guts,
Gibbs.
Relating to deep inward feelings rather than to intellect.
Okay, so you've got to feel it. You've got to really feel it, is what you're saying. Well, listen,
You've got to really feel like you're working for a soulless corporation, you know.
But here's I don't
trying to be the biggest and best delivery system in the area. You've got to feel like you want to be a cog in
I hate
working
to say
for
this.
minimum wage in a multi-million-pound.
Yeah, exactly. And you get paid a credit.
Listen, I hate to say this, but where do you think that subplot comes in about revolution and being paid next to nothing and putting your life on the line, literally, like is happening now? That happens literally. Maybe
that's the opposing force: corporates versus guerrillas.
Yeah, that's good. That's how you get the sort of two factions, right?
And it's like bike messengers, and you know, it's the evolution, isn't it? When the bike messengers couldn't keep up with the drones, they built their own suits.
Yeah.
How do deliveries happen across the solar system?
I mean, we all saw that episode of Futurama where they do the newspaper round on their bikes, don't they? You know, in space. So it's possible. It's definitely possible.
So Okay, and listen, you want visceral, then they need to give us a bit more budget, and we need to have that bit of storyline. You do it a little bit like Battlefield. What's the most recent one? Battlefield 5 or Battlefield 1? What's the one that
I'd
just
say
came out?
5. Well, Battlefield 5.
Where you have certain campaigns, only like 4 or 5 of them.
Well,
only
yeah,
about
but
30
that was
minutes
Battlefield
long.
1. Yeah, Battlefield 1 did that.
And so you
Yeah,
throw that in.
but there's like loads and loads of little things that you do during development to have that sort of feeling of like closeness, just like blood splatter comes on the screen when somebody dies. It's like the camera cracks if you fall over, that sort of thing.
Flight
like
sim,
Far Cry 5 when you heal and you're breaking your thumb back into place.
Okay. So you're talking features, Brad. It's a good idea. How can we bring
this first or third person,
nature?
right? Because if we're going, because the studio have said combat sim needs to be like a first person, right?
Well, visceral would say first person, wouldn't it? And visceral would say like then you're sort of in the helmet. It would also mean that when you do that stuff, Brad, when you heal yourself or something, you see it.
Yeah,
that
maybe you look down and like the metal's bent inwards and like nanobots peel it back out.
That's good. Yeah, you sort of fix yourself by like, I've always loved the menu system. Just briefly, the menu system from Alone in the Dark, the remake one that they did, like such a flawed masterpiece. Like a deeply flawed masterpiece. But like every time you went into your inventory, you looked down into your coat and you literally had to pick out like a first aid spray or something. So I don't know if there's something similar when maybe with the
it'd be hard because you're in the air flying, aren't you? So like you'd almost like, I don't know, you can have this really, really odd system maybe where healing puts you into free fall because you have to.
That's good. So you have to get enough height in order to heal. That's excellent.
That. I really like that.
That's awesome. You lose power to like thrusters in order to be able to fix something.
And the visceral aspect of it comes from like, for example, you'll fly up, and if you're attacking someone, you'll like pull their entire arm out of their suit, and then that would be like, and so they have nothing, but then when you're the first person in the first person, literally there is like a massive hole in your suit. And you're pissing blood and like, and there's literally like, and there's nothing, and you have to like, I don't know, and you heal just by like putting it back on or whatever. But in the free fall, that's really good though, and that's how you get the visceral side of it. You make it like there are people inside of these suits, and
I suppose it would be like
guys.
I think it would be like maybe like the more you win. So maybe you take things like arms and other bits of the like an arm inside a robot suit. Yes, it's sort of, but almost like as a trophy. So like maybe the more your kill death moves to, like the more maybe just in a single match, the more you lose a game, the more the characters in like the pre-match area look like they've been replaced by fully robot parts. And then if maybe you sort of have more human parts if you're winning because you haven't had your bits taken off or not. I think of how to flavor the menus.
You know what I've never seen in a video game, and this links into what you're saying, right? So the closest thing I guess you could have, and this is something that we're predicting, right? You do a season, and that can be like a month long or whatever it is, and everybody starts at 0 in the middle. So you can go into minus levels or you can go into plus levels. So the better you are, the more human you stay, the more you get upgraded. Your beard gets longer, your hair gets sexier, whatever it is, right? But then the more you lose and you start to go into minus levels, then you become more robotic because you have to have those thingies. And that's
bringing
how
it back full circle. So it's like a Dark Souls humanity system where the more you die, the more you start to go hollow and you start turning into a zombie, basically.
Yeah, and
I love it. And then you like a nano zombie, a bit like the what do they call in Mass Effect? I've just been killing loads of them. Yeah, but like the husks. So you sort of become a little bit more cybernetic.
And I think that would be, and then you would look back over your like, season 13, like I was a sexy human, but then season 14 I got my ass kicked and I was like a zombie.
Yeah, you can see the states you're at each season. Yeah, that's a really good idea. And we would call them pilots, would we?
Because I'd never seen it, because you never go into minus levels. Like, you might level slower, but you always have that upwards progression. But having like a pH system, basically. At like 7.
I like it because the more minus levels you have, the more it's sort of also you can be supported by certain things. It's like a handicap in golf.
Yeah,
essentially.
Yeah.
So like it wouldn't put people off if they just started playing and they weren't very good. That's what we want to try and avoid.
But you all
Maybe
start at 0. That's the thing. And so the worse you get. But then at the same time, you don't want to punish players who are good at it as well. So the whatever the plus is equal to the minus. Similar to like games where you require a moral choice, and that moral choice gives you powers. I cannot think of it now, but it's like the superhero
Paragon Renegade one or something. Oh, like Infamous or
Infamous, yeah. So you got different powers with you were evil or you were good, but like the final ones you got were equally as cool as each other. It wasn't like you had to just play the Paragon path to get the cool stuff.
Yeah, it might not, maybe not a ranked mechanic then, because that sort of thing tends to flatten out eventually.
But you have quite short seasons to do that. So either a month or 2 weeks or even like
a quarter, maybe like a sort of every quarter, like sort of like seasons.
Well, that's quite long.
Well, maybe it could be maybe it could factor in maybe some sort of reputation system then, rather than the rank system.
Oh, so how about something like this? So when you're about to take someone down, you can choose to end them in a visceral way, maybe the vertical slice mechanic, which, and in doing that sort of impedes them from coming back. Like it means that they can't take longer to come back, almost like the gulag system, in Warzone. So like, or something like that. It impedes the length of time, but your moral system goes down. Or you can sort of almost like, using like the system that lifts them up in the Fulton system from Metal Gear Solid 5, or like stealth killing, sort of putting them to sleep with a dart gun.
Okay.
So the morals are different.
So like it's a choice between maybe getting a slightly stronger character or making the enemy team weaker by delaying their respawns.
Yeah, that's good. So that's perfect. So you're almost playing more team-like in one way, or you could be more lone wolf and sort of up your own level. But then you have to keep playing lone wolf because the rest of your team will be disadvantaged. Something like that. Brad, that's really good. There's something in there. I like it. Well, listen, we're at the point where we go gold. So at this point, we've got to sign off on this idea. We've got to lose the things we hate. We've got to keep the things we love. Is there anything else that we want to go, like, for example, any other details? Do we want to call them pilots, or do we want to come up with a new name for them, or is this something else?
What
helmsman, is that too long a title?
It depends what side you're on. You're either an employee or a guerrilla fighter, aren't you?
Yeah. So an employee would have a very technical term for who they are. Right?
Or a number designation or something.
Yeah.
Well, how the receptionist got upgraded to the office manager, and the barman got upgraded to the mixologist. It would be something. It would be something like that. You wouldn't just be the employee. You wouldn't just be the delivery driver. You'd be like a route master.
What? No, exactly.
I think actually Fry in Futurama explains his job as something like really complicated, and it just says he's a delivery boy.
Yeah.
But I think
so there's almost like an in-jokey corporate sort of progression ladder, and then for the guerrilla
same
side,
level.
Yeah,
the route. I like
more
route
work
master,
and less
pay. There's something there. There's something in the route master, but there's something that. And I guess on the other side, you'd be like, if you were, I guess I don't know, like something like a bike messenger, but like not a messenger. Courier. That's what you call it.
Yeah. They'd be more sort of earthy and supportive type names, wouldn't they? And roles and things.
Courier, and then like the guerrilla faction is definitely called Last Mile, because a last mile company is what basically like Deliveroo is a last mile company because you can't be bothered to go and get your food.
Right. Everything else, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So everything else is prepared up to that last mile.
Yeah,
I like that. Okay. Well, we've got quite a lot to go off.
I think we're cutting this 20, 0 to 10, 10 to 20. We're cutting that out. None of that no PvP shit. You're coming straight
but that's what they
over big.
If it goes badly, right? If it goes badly like Watch Dogs Legion or Anthem, then we'll have to try and course correct by promising, more storyline stuff and getting the player base back up.
Storyline gets introduced with new, like Apex Legends and stuff. Those kind of games.
Yeah, fair enough.
Will get introduced as new characters get. Same thing with Overwatch. Like Overwatch,
and you make sure your initial plan has some of the story mapped out. Because like the Apex Legends example, they had that initial design story factored in when they first created the game of all these mercenaries coming in from all over the world to participate in this tournament sort of thing.
So here's the question. What are the team sizes? 6v6 with bots, 5v5,
I was thinking quite
12v12,
large.
32 versus 32?
I was thinking like 12v12, 20v20 sort of sizes.
Yeah, I think so.
Because you want that sort of mayhem in the closing times of the match where people are really just going ham at the points.
And I, for example, someone like me who grew up on those sort of shooters and then have sort of been a little bit aged out. I'll be honest with you. My reaction times are not what they used to be. I'm not quite as good at being like
That's why I play Overwatch. That's, don't need the fast reaction times to swing.
You're both big Overwatch players, aren't you? Yeah. But when I went back into Warzone, I loved like the quads and the trios and stuff, and there was something about like just working so I would love that sort of feature in there. I love working as a small team where you can sort of take out a reasonable amount of people before your team sort of subsumed or whatever. So there's something in that, I think, as a game type that I think needs to come back around.
I like the idea of joining. So one thing with things with games where they'll try and force 5v5, 6v6 is that if you've come in as a group of 4, like you'll have to have 2 randos, right? So maybe I like Brad's 20v20, but you can have a squad size of 1 to 10. So if you've got 10 mates and you're all playing it, you can have 10 of you on. But if you're only playing 4 of you, if you're playing 7 of you, for example, you will be a squad of 7 in a team of 20. So you still get to hang with your mates. And obviously you have squad fill as well, so you can just jump on a random sized one and they'll divide the other ones up. Yeah. But you could have like a squad of 7 and then a squad of 3 and then a squad of 2 and then a squad of 5 and then a squad of 3. I think that adds up to 20. And that would be how it would all work.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
So we don't have to go into crunch. Thankfully, we've still got 5 minutes left of this meeting. We don't have to move into crunch.
It's not healthy.
Thank God, it's not healthy. So while we've got this time, if it was a game that was released, how would it be received by the general public, by the YouTube critics, by IGN? Too much water, IGN, and the rest of the community.
We need like a tagline, I think, sort of like, or a strap line for Vertical Slice.
Also, perhaps some talent. Who would we get?
It's one of those things where the game is close enough to examples that are out there that people go, I recognize some of the stuff in there and I like what I see, and the new stuff just sounds cool because I'm a mech in space delivering really dangerous materials while someone tries to steal it, sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you give them a really awesome CGI cutscene, like that. 2 years,
an
or
overblown E3 presentation.
Yeah.
Nothing representative of the actual game.
Yeah, exactly. Just to sort of draw people in, and it's like the awesome sort of the little guy versus the corporation and all this shit. And then in actual fact, it's like someone like EA is publishing
going for full irony.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh man, something did that recently, didn't it?
I want the description one-liner of it. Not even one-liner, but like what is, Vertical Slice, corpos versus the little guy. Like not that, but like the world's most dangerous courier's job or whatever. Like I want something like that, so that like when you walk out at E3 and you give that thingy, people go like, huh? And then you smash them with that trailer.
Oh no, I can't think of one.
I know, it's a tough one.
It's different.
Do you know what it is? I've got the E3 trailer music. It's like a space version of Two Tribes by Right Said Fred, isn't it?
With like a wispy female vocal and like
you have like
an all trip hoppy.
You have this weird like synthwave version of it. And
it's quite high energy as well. It's good.
Yeah. I don't know if it.
Oh no, they already used him, didn't they? But
the voiceover. It's the generic white guy voiceover that you have like just to sort of when the drones stop working. All of that.
This summer
we built our own. you know, and all this sort of stuff when the
Yeah.
corporations told us no, we said yes. And then there's all, you know, something like that. It'll have to be.
They stopped delivering
It's
food
Bear
and
Bear
water,
McCreary
so
Yes.
they took it.
Yeah,
Bear
exactly.
McCreary
Yeah.
does the music, doesn't he?
Yeah, Bear McCreary has to do the music. Yeah, that's it, isn't it, Brad? It's about like it started as like this sort of to deliver packages of food and aid and stuff like that to certain areas of the world, and like then it grew into
and
something
food shortages maybe, and all the rich started claiming the food from themselves using private mercenary armies to transport it.
Yeah, and then obviously they live in like all of these people live in the top structures of the penthouses, basically.
And that means we get two distinct styles of the sleek corporate mechs and the junkyard guerrilla mechs.
Oh, that's good. We didn't even think of that. Yeah, that's fantastic, Brad. Love it. Okay, good. And I think you're right. I think it'll be fairly well received as long as we keep the microtransactions out of it.
That's not going to happen.
No,
it's
it's so primed for it. It's so primed.
I know it is. I know it is. But what can we do? Oh, EA, our masters have told us we've got to put it in.
It's surprise mechanics. It will be. But I tell you what, though, I will die on this hill. It's not mechanical advantage by buying loot boxes.
Oh no, definitely not.
Cosmetic only.
Yeah.
And then you have something, if your character looks like shit halfway through the season because you've been beaten too much, you can pay to get him reset back to zero. That's how we
will fight tooth and nail to do the community at least one favor and have no fucking duplicates in boxes.
Yeah, and you can have 3 characters as standard without having to buy a slot. Yeah, you have to buy a 4th slot though.
But you can.
Yeah, you can buy 4 slots.
As many slots as you like.
But we'll give you 3. It's pretty good, isn't it? It's good of us. Our lords and masters of video game publishers and companies will be happy with that. Good. Yeah. Anything we want to add? Any sign-offs for Vertical Slice? I'm happy with this.
I'm at the end of this meeting. I'm going to be disappointed that it's not actually going to get made.
Vertical Slice. The higher up the ladder you go, the harder you'll fall.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, you've done it. That's why you're here, Ryan. That's why we bring you to these meetings, right? It's all the million, what do you call it? The 100 IQ, the million IQ play or whatever.
Of course.
Yeah, good call. Right, so that was our white box. It's not always a game that we like or that we even want to play, but in this instance it is.
It's all 3 of those, yeah.
It's all 3. Let us know at home what you guys think. What would you do differently? Would you still want to see pizza or cake shoehorned into the idea?
It's true.
I don't know if there's a market for that.
The essential food supplies being delivered to the rich.
Yeah, there's like a little in-joke in there, cake. Isn't there? A little Easter egg for the development cycle. Lost ideas. So yeah, let us know on our socials, WhiteBox Pod. Let us know on Slash Dupe, at Slash Dupe if you like this. Thanks for sticking around with us. This is just a pilot. We've still got to get the actual season off the ground. So in this period of time, your feedback's really important. If you sign up to the socials, jump on when they're up and about. You'll be the first to know when the first 101 episode of WhiteBox goes out with Ryan at the helm. So yeah, I'm proud of our idea today, guys. Thanks for that. That was Vertical Slice, and just leaves me to thank you both for being here today.
That's all right. Yeah, it's been good fun. It's to reference something else. It is not the greatest podcast in the world. It is just a pilot.